And we're on. Welcome back to the Lore and Valor podcast. I'm your host, Justin Watson, and I am on the road this week. Joining me again is my friend and independent filmmaker, Sam Platiski. And we are going to talk about Moon Knight episodes 3 and 4 because we missed last week. Scheduling conflicts do happen. And then we might touch on the Thor Love and Thunder trailer as well while we're here. How you doing tonight, Sam?
I'm doing good. Too lazy to put up a blue screen, so this is the room where I record. This is my office space.
We're such a professional outfit that we do not even have a green or blue screen yet. So I'm what you see is what you get.
But you see some awards in this corner. Right there you go.
Not to
There's
humble brag.
No, not at all.
Not to humble brag. I could put my medals up in the background. You know,
you should. Should bring them to the hotel.
Just put my Bronze Star and my Purple Heights citation up over my shoulders. Be like,
you never know when you're gonna need it.
Not to say that you're welcome for my service, but you are welcome for my service.
You're welcome for the laughter.
We appreciate the laughter, Sam.
Thank you. I appreciate your service.
Well, yeah, thanks for paying my paycheck while I was in.
You're welcome.
So anyway, Moon Knights 3 and 4. I have to say briefly that 3 was a step up. 4 was kind of a step back down for me personally. How are you feeling, Sam?
The same way. And I'm a little discouraged too.
Yeah.
Because I talked about it one of the other times, but I'm a huge fan of Marvel and the MCU.
And you're a generally positive guy too.
Yeah, I can forgive a lot, where you didn't enjoy Eternals. I loved it. But for some reason this one's not hitting me. 3 was good. I liked 3, like you said.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole episode, I was like, all right, we're getting back to it. And then 4 happened, and it's like, and I know the reasons. I will get into it. Why I was just underwhelmed. I was just kind of like, The end was cool, but also, I just I haven't felt like this about one of the shows yet.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. And that's really damning. Because it's nothing. I'll probably get into my nitpicks later because there are things they do that I'm like, you didn't I get that this isn't, again, you're not going for realism because it's a comic book story, but you didn't have to make it silly.
Yeah.
But more than anything, I would forgive that stuff if I cared what's happening. At this point, I don't like Steven. I don't like Mark. I don't even like Layla.
Yeah.
You're all kind of blah.
Yeah.
At this point, I suppose we should get a little more concrete with our criticism. So, in episode 3, they grounded the action again, which was good. There were no CGI news. Sorry, in case this is the first Moon Knight review you're joining with us, spoilers. We're going to spoil the hell out of the episode. So if you haven't watched them yet and you want to, go watch them before you watch our review. So they grounded the action again, which was good. Most of the action was, felt like there was a little more stakes to it. The knife fighting was felt a little pat, but it wasn't bad, and by pat, I mean it with some stunt work, and maybe you could comment on this more than I can, but some stunt work, it's easier to tell that the stuntmen are cooperating, that it feels less like a real fight because it feels like, now's the part where you fall down.
Yeah.
It kind of feels a little bit like that. Some of episode 3 felt that way to me. But still better. I will say for Mark being the more hardcore aspect, he still seems like a pretty restrained dude. He's not like the Punisher. He's still squeamish about killing people, which is fine. I'm not saying you should go around willy-nilly killing people, but they've made this big deal about Steven being so meek and Mark, dark guy. Ooh, he's scary, except for he really tries to avoid hurting people too. It's well, okay.
I did like in that fight, and it's not the best fighting they've done on these shows, or definitely not as good as Daredevil, but this episode 3 was better than it's been, and I appreciate that. I like the tease about the third personality, because there is a third personality in the comics, Jake Lockley, and he's like the hardcore one. He's the violent one.
He's a
So like
bit more of
just
a
teasing
psycho.
him,
Yeah.
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 So just teasing him, I thought was a really cool part, and like that had me in episode 3.
Mhm.
The I liked seeing Moon Knight in the show. You know,
Yeah, we're not getting a ton of him, are we?
No, no. And when we get to 4, we don't get him at all.
Yeah.
But it's like
Yeah.
so. I like that. I liked that when Moon Knight was fighting in the end. I like that Steven was, when he gets like impaled by a bunch of stuff, he's like, "All right, you take over real quick," which was a huge step up from episode 2, where he was like, "No, I got this. I got this. I'm like, let's go." So like that was a huge step up. I like that they gave Steven stuff to do to make him, more important, like being like the mythology guy, the guy who knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Good. I like that. It was like forward progress on the show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you with all of that. And I will say I'm going to nitpick the action a little bit more. So the fight at the uber rich dudes whose name I can't remember, uh, his little, uh, you know, jousting arena slash menagerie place that he had going on. Mostly it was pretty good. I will say I do get a lot tired of the convenient action blocking where, okay, well, we want kung fu now. So somewhere between this moment and this moment, she set the gun down, so that she can fight this dude who has like 50 pounds on her.
Yeah.
And like, it's not even like a sexist thing. Like, honestly, like as a smaller dude, like I'm 5'6", and before I got out of the army and, gained like another person worth of weight, I was, a little bit of a smaller dude. So like the training was like, hey, if you have to go hand to hand in the fight really quickly against someone bigger than you, or if they are committed and they're trained to some commensurate level with you, they're going to eat your lunch.
Yeah.
Because if you're both trained to fight and they have more strength, and more size on you, it's not a good bet. Don't box them.
There's a line in that guy. There's a trailer for a movie. I think it just came out or it's coming out in like limited release. Karen Gillan's in it. I think it's called Duel, and like she has to like duel for her life, and like the guy who's training her, says you try the gun, and she was like, guns are boring. And it was like, you're fighting for your life. It's okay to be boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. End the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I mean, honestly, like, for self-defense, like that is what you want to do. You want to get away, or you want to incapacitate or kill the other person. So the fact is, like, I'm glad that Layla had the pragmatism that when she has a gun in her hand, she shoots the people who are trying to kill her. Good job, Layla. But at one point she has a pistol very clearly, and then she goes to mess with the sarcophagus to find the map, I think, and she no longer is holding onto the pistol, and I'm like, still people trying to kill you.
Yeah.
It
didn't bother me because I was just, I wasn't like, I was into the rest of it. So like that little thing did get me.
I have an eye for stuff like that, and they just hadn't built up enough goodwill with me not to notice it. I would probably comment on it no matter what. But episode 4 hadn't taken a dive, I probably have been like, yeah, this little thing happened, but it doesn't really bother me. No. As it is, like, so episode 3 was pretty cool. I even like I thought it was super cool when they're out in the desert trying to find the place, and they're like, oh no, we need to know what the night sky was like 1,000 years ago.
And Khonshu did the whole.
Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah,
that's pretty slick. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, way to use the magic of your setting.
Lunar god too. Lunar god.
Yeah, and that there were and that there were consequences for it. That's like, it's too big of a show, so the rest of the Egyptian pantheon imprisons him. I'm like, oh, that's all good.
Yeah. And I liked the idea of the Egyptian pantheon, and I liked the fact that they all have avatars. I think that's cool. Mm-hmm. I think the two things that bothered me about that is there another group of people that are like, oh, we choose not to get in, we choose not to get involved more, like the Eternal. And if the X-Men do the same, I'd be like, all right, come on. Nobody, so many people just watching shit happen. Even they were Watchers like, you guys do something.
Yeah, the Watchers like, it's my job to watch. You assholes need to take some action.
Do shit.
Yeah, it's like, is everyone following the Prime Directive? Like, absolutely everyone is like, yeah, no, sorry, we can't interfere.
Yeah, the Asgardians didn't seem to be doing that.
Yeah, the Asgardians didn't give a shit.
Yeah, and it felt a little low budget again. going back to like the whole low budget aspect of it,
Yeah.
just seeing like because we see Conchu and that's cool, but just seeing the humans and they're just human, and doing their thing, and then Oscar Isaacs, who I like his performance, his Conchu thing was not my favorite moment of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
They could have gotten, the voice of Conchu to do that
Yeah,
over
they could
him.
have dubbed Effie Murray Abraham
Yeah.
over Oscar Isaac. Yeah, that
Yeah.
probably would have made more sense.
Yeah.
I will say too that in addition to the whole like, oh, everybody important had some weird non-interference clause in their contract before we were done with the Infinity War.
Yeah.
In addition to that, the Egyptian gods were just, and this is the good episode still. This is still episode 3.
Yeah.
The Egyptian gods were just dumb. Like they're like, we're going to settle this by bringing in the person accused, and we're going to listen to them both. Do we want to gather evidence? No.
Take his word for it.
Yeah, we're gonna decide which one we believe more.
Yeah.
Well, you could go look. I mean, you're the avatars of gods. You could go investigate a little. No.
If all you do is observe, you can observe what's going on at the place where you trap this goddess, who's apparently real bad.
It was so like that was like I griped a little bit about the impracticalities here and there of the action, but honestly, that stuff only matters a little bit. That really, even though I liked the episode better, that really bothered me. I was like, you guys are being dumb. You guys are being intentionally dumb. I do not believe you're immortal beings who have thousands of years of wisdom, because I'm thinking as a 39-year-old human, I should really go check this out. And that doesn't occur to you.
Yeah, even if you don't like Conchu, you still like Conchu better than you like the other goddess, Ammit. You trapped her, so maybe just do a little bit of work, a little bit.
If we knew for a fact that necromancy was a real thing, like we knew for a fact that like it wasn't some fantasy thing, we knew people could be brought back from the dead, right? And somebody was like, "Hey, this guy who I know is really powerful and is maybe shady is bringing back Hitler." I would go check. I'd be like, "Hey, let me go check that out. Maybe it's not true. Kind of sounds like bullshit. We should probably look into it."
Yeah. I think that's a good bet.
Let's go make sure.
Yeah,
just to be safe. So the fact that they were like, "Yeah, we brought Ethan Hawke, and he was more convincing, so we're done here."
Sorry, guys. Shouldn't have been crazy.
Yeah. How dare you have a mental illness?
that whole thing bothered me. But again, I like the Moon Knight stuff. I really like seeing Moon Knight. I like the costume. I like the way they adapted it. I like Mr. Knight's costume, and whereas he was a joke in the last one, this one when he's actually helping with the moon thing, cool. Looks good. Looks great.
I mean, that's actually a good, like, that's, not to get all D&D with it, although I love D&D, but like it'd be kind of a cool, I don't know if they did it on purpose, but it might be a cool delineation if it's like Moon Knight is a fighter and Mr. Knight is more of Khonshu's wizardry, that they approach things differently. That'd be cool.
I would love that. But more of that. Less,
Yeah. But no, we don't get that.
No.
We don't get that in episode 4. But
no, because like episode 3, I mean, it's a good segue. Episode 3, Khonshu gets trapped. So if Khonshu's trapped, there go Mark and Steven's powers. And so like when that happened, I was like, oh, we're not gonna get Moon Knight again next episode. Again. And I was like, at one point I was like, oh, maybe it'll just be like the origin episode. And like we'll finally get to see what happened. Nope. No. We don't get it. We just get no Moon Knight at all.
And it's Steven's back in charge.
Yep.
Yeah, and like frankly, I'm tired of Steven.
Yeah.
Like I'm tired of him.
Yeah.
And the whole Steven, Mark, Layla love triangle thing, I don't one, care. Gross. 2, I don't buy it. Like I'm like, why is she attracted to either of them? Honestly, I get that Oscar Isaac is handsome. I get that, but like,
just that.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no chemistry there. Like,
it's pretty bait. I mean, it's like Steven's showing interest in me. It's like, I guess I love him now. Like, all right, I don't know. That's
what the hell is that even about?
Give this strong woman you want to portray her as a strong woman a little more credit than just being like, oh, attention.
Yes,
that's what I want.
Well, he seems to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Is he though?
Yeah.
Do you have any reason to think he's particularly more honest than Mark? Not
Yeah.
really.
No,
Like,
you've known him very briefly.
I mean, he's
Very
more
brief.
sensitive, I guess,
Yeah. I
but
don't know.
I don't know. It's a mess.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And since we're 4 episodes into it, it's really disheartening because I'm like, man, they could turn it around. I don't want to
2 episodes left. Only 2 episodes left, and they do it.
yeah, like on episode 4, when I'm kind of incredibly meh
Yeah.
about the whole show, it's hard to think they're going to do something in the last quarter of the show that's going to make it all worthwhile.
So even if you give 3 the benefit of the doubt of all the things that you can critique, and then you say 1 and 3 good episodes, 2 and
Yeah.
4 not good episodes,
Yeah,
it's half the show already. Half the show, like even like Loki, which had that 1 episode. That was 1 episode out of the whole thing.
yeah. And there
WandaVision,
were problems with other episodes, but only one episode
it was
was
just
really
that one
worthless.
the whole episode where it was just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's so I'm watching the 4th episode and I'm just like kind of bored, for all it's like Indiana Jones like attempt.
Yeah. They shot it in the same location in Jordan where they shot Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. It's that little mountain passageway, which I was like,
Yeah.
I almost resented because I'm like, you're referencing this amazing movie that we all love
Yeah.
to try to get me in the feels, but you're not doing the work
Yeah.
that series put in.
How dare you stand where he stood?
Yes.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that, but I mean it makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Yeah.
no.
So, and then like the priest, the undead priests that were, I mean, like, it's a fine horror moment when he's mummifying the dude, but like again, I don't care.
Yeah.
You
And you
know,
still
like
got Steven in charge.
yeah, yeah,
What's he pushes the thing on him. Okay.
yeah. Well, and like the fact that Layla can like the fact that this undead mummy's trying to stab her and she's like successfully holding the knife away, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this thing doesn't feel very threatening. I'm just saying, like, like
It's a bag of bones, decaying bones. He's doing his best.
I mean, like, it seems like you can just if somebody can just fist fight your undead and beat it.
Yeah. Maybe they're not that great.
Yeah, maybe this wasn't the best Tomb Guardian you could have picked.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
mean, decent, but yeah, no.
Yeah, and then I still don't give a damn about Arthur Harrow.
Yeah, they're not giving you really anything until the end of the episode. Really, they don't give you anything to really care about.
Yeah.
Strengths is the villains a lot of times, not all the time. Winter Soldier, Falcon, but a lot of times, like Killmonger and Thanos and like
Loki.
Vulture and Loki, all these like great villains. Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu.
Oh
great
yeah,
villain. Love that whole thing.
That's one where I think the villain exceeded the movie. Like I think that Shang-Chi's villain was better than Shang-Chi the movie. Not that I didn't like Shang-Chi, but I just think he was a really good villain.
Oh, he's great. He's great. Better than had any right to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times, like Marvel like nails the villains, and this is I just don't care.
I mean, they had that. It was kind of a thing that there was an early villain problem.
That
they had the villain one-offs that died at the end of the.
I loved Red Skull. I did love Red Skull.
Yeah,
Loki was great. Obviously,
Ironmonger
was whatever.
Yeah,
Iron Man 2 villain, the Whiplash or the Crimson Dynamo Whiplash.
Justin Hammer.
He was great. I love Justin Hammer. Bring back Sam Rockwell. But yeah, no,
he was in the Hail to the King one shot.
Yeah. Briefly. I hope they bring him back for Armor Wars because he's get underused.
Yeah, he could
have played anybody, and they'd give him this like small part.
Yeah, honestly, Iron Man 2 is not one of the better MCU movies, but I'll rewatch it and have a good time for Sam Rockwell. And
it's not Thor: The Dark World.
It's not Thor: The Dark World.
It's not that. But
but before we get off onto Thor, so we get they go on there, they track down Arthur Harrow, they walk into his camp.
Yep.
Just walk in there. Fortunately, no one's there.
They have that beat when they're like they're getting attacked on the way when like she's trying to wake up Steven and all that
Oh, right.
crap, and then
I
she shoots the
hated that
fireworks or
sequence
whatever.
so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. The only thing I'm okay with it, not like it that it didn't do, was I thought they were gonna just bring them to their camp anyway, so that the entirety of the last episode just didn't fucking matter. All that sacrifice, Khonshu doing his thing, and they're like, oh, he didn't even have to show the map thing because they'll just take you there. Like I
Yeah.
thought they were gonna do that, and I was like, oh my god, but they didn't do that, so I'm happy with that.
No, that's true. You're right. That's good storytelling instinct not to, completely render Khonshu's sacrifice irrelevant, but just the choreography. It's another like that's one way more so than episode 3. The dude has like a 50 caliber machine gun on his truck, and it's like they're like driving right up to her, and I'm like, just stay where you are and shoot at them more.
Yeah,
Like that's why you have a gun, you
yeah,
dumbass.
yeah,
Like
yeah. That was stupid, and it would like even worse than stupid. It was also boring.
yeah, it was boring. And when she pulls out the flare, I'm
Yeah,
like, they're not Tyrannosaurus Rexes, you dumbass. They're humans. They're gonna shoot you. Only they didn't shoot her. They tried to get at her. Like I'm like,
yeah.
what the hell?
Very dumb, very
Yeah.
dumb villains.
Yeah, and it's like you have nowhere near enough goodwill with me to get me to ignore how stupid this sequence is.
Yeah,
So like that whole sequence, I think I blanked it out of my memory.
yeah.
Because
There
like
you
Michelle and I were watching it, and I think even as she did it, I was like, "What the
go.
fuck am I watching?"
Yeah.
like really, like I don't even know. Anyway, and then she uses the flare again,
Yep, on the
and then she's like,
zombie
"Oh, I'm
thing.
going to distract them with a flare over there," and it's like, shoot at the place where the flare originated, like. A 50 caliber round, the actual projectile part is like that long, like and like yay wide. Like if that hits you, you're gone.
Yeah,
Like you are a fine pink mist. So all they have to do is shoot at her, and the show's over. And like not that I want the heroes to die, but I'm just like this is so throwing a flare into a bunch of bullets in the back. It's not how that works.
yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
like if you leave a burning flare in a box of bullets, eventually it might burn through and cause some cook off to where the bullets actually go off. But it's not going to work like a grenade. You're not going to throw it in there and see. I mean, it's stupid. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. But it's not going to be what you saw in the episode. So anyway,
No.
sorry. I'm off on a technical tangent when we're watching a superhero
It was a stupid
show.
tangent. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was stupid.
But the fact is, like, while I can bitch about the Wakanda scene in Infinity War, I really don't, because I was having a great time in Infinity War. I can tell you how to defend Wakanda against those aliens much better than they did it, but I don't care. Like, because I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
The reason I'm griping about all this crap with Moon Knight is because I don't care enough about any of the characters to say that's stupid, but I'm invested. So let me watch.
Yeah. But the end was cool with the he gets shot and he's in the pool and then he wakes up in an insane asylum, which is, I mean, that's right from the comic. That happened in like one of the series where he wasn't sure if he was real or not real, everything that he's done. And you see all the characters in the background of the insane asylum and Harrow as the psychiatrist.
Yeah. And those are good tropes to play with. It's not like it's a bad, it's not like it's a bad plot device to use, but I don't know. Like, I just don't care about him enough to get invested in, his imaginary world. Like, I assume is some version of either just his psychotic break or the afterlife or both.
I don't know how they're going to go about it in the show. I don't remember what they did in the comic, but I don't know what they're going to do because it's obviously not reality. Because if it was reality, you wouldn't have Stephen and Mark together. You wouldn't have like the third coffin with such a fucking build up to the third personality. I'm like, all right, get to it. Just what are you trying to do?
Yeah, it's like we get that there's a third person who knifed all those people in episode 3. We get it. So
go for it.
Yeah.
And then the happy hippo goddess. I was like, all right, that's
hi.
Yeah,
it's
like okay,
all right,
cool.
Towerette, I think is that goddess's name.
That's the Lost statue.
Yeah,
statue from Lost. So that's cool.
But
that was the only part of the episode that I was really like, that's all right, that's cool.
Yeah, but still, like, I mean, like, I agree with you, and I liked Steven and Mark being together. Like, I
Hmm.
did like that. Like, but I also am like, I'd like it better if you had me hooked
Yeah,
on this. So, super negative episode, guys. Sorry, but
yeah.
episode 4 was a
I
real
never thought.
letdown.
I never really thought. Like when we were going, when you said like let's do a podcast and we'll talk about Moon Knight first. I never thought it would go this way.
Yeah,
Really, I didn't think the series was going to go this way. Like I don't have like Moon Knight's not my favorite character, but I was looking forward to the show.
yeah.
And I never thought like it would just be like, eh.
Well, and like the best thing Marvel Disney Plus stuff has done so far was the offbeat one, WandaVision. You know, the
Yeah.
thing that was a little weird. Like that was the best show. So I was like, okay, Moon Knight looks a little weird, a little creative. I'm excited. Let's give him a shot.
I've seen
You know,
people like who are loving Moon Knight, who are absolutely loving it, and I've seen people who are loving it and didn't like WandaVision. You know, so everybody's different, but this,
I
yeah,
mean, no
not
accounting
not
for
me for me so
taste,
far.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
not for me so
Um,
far.
I don't get it. Like I just the writing holes are just too wide for me. And I
Yeah,
get not everyone grades their fiction at all or according to the same rubric I do. I get it. Like and it's not like I'm like going down a checklist and like if it doesn't check enough boxes, I'm not liking it because there's plenty of stuff that has, questionable decisions in it that I still love.
yeah, you can
Um
forgive stuff if you're, if you can enjoy it or if you can be entertained by it. But
if
this,
you
yeah,
get caught up in it, right? Like
like Book of, I mean, we're not. This is complete tangent. Book of Boba Fett got a lot of shit
mhm.
because it wasn't always about Boba Fett. So people complained about that. When it was about Boba Fett, people complained about how they portrayed Boba Fett. But I was like invested every episode. I was into it every episode. I was in it. I was entertained. I could see the problems with it. I can critique it and like it at the same time. But I enjoyed it. This is like it's not even as enjoyable. That's a
Uh,
sin.
and I'm a little bit on the other side in that the problems bothered me a little bit more with Boba Fett, but I could also see how you could like it. I think the moped Power Rangers kind of were just there was just a too much for me. I was like,
That was stupid.
stop trying to make it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
But but even if you weren't crazy about Boba Fett, the two Mandalorian episodes in the middle of Boba Fett were still pretty awesome.
it was great. That was great.
Yeah,
I love
those
that
are
shit.
still good episodes.
I love
you
seeing
know,
Luke Skywalker.
yeah. So Mandalorian's going through his midlife crisis because he traded out his minivan for a sports car with a baby seat in it.
Yep. But it was
Um,
entertaining for me. Mm,
yeah, no, it was. Those were entertaining episodes. I liked them
yeah.
too. Um, excuse me, but yeah, no, yeah, I was excited. I thought this we'd be a lot more. We'd be able to gush a little more
Yeah.
about the show. So maybe like I think on that point we can transition. So the bonus content for this episode is the Thor Love and Thunder trailer. So
Yeah.
what are your I'll let you lead off, Sam. What are you thinking? What are you feeling after seeing that trailer?
So I like how it showed almost nothing about like the villain. I
Yeah.
like that I don't have a clear idea about what the whole movie's about. I got my cat here, so that's why I'm going like this. If you see me going like this, that's why. Uh, I like the music is great. The visuals look stunning. It's like right from the comic, and I like the feel of it all. It gave me good feelings as opposed to the Moon Knight, and it kept me interested. You
I
know,
hear you.
what about you?
So I liked it overall. Um, I will say, I'm a little torn, like, because you got to go back to the Fat Thor phenomenon from Endgame, right?
Yeah,
Which I'm more sympathetic to now. I love Endgame. Like to make my position clear on Endgame, I love the movie. I didn't like Professor Hulk or Fat Thor in Endgame. At first, Fat Thor bothered me more than Professor Hulk, but now I flip flopped on that. Where like I feel like I still don't like Fat Thor, but I feel like they were trying to do good honest storytelling, and it just didn't happen to fit my taste.
mm,
Whereas Professor Hulk bothers me a little more because I really feel like it did rob us of seeing the resolution of Bruce Banner's arc. Like where it's like this has been his problem from the
yeah.
Incredible Hulk onward, and you just solved it off screen.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like that's kind of a problem.
Yeah. I can understand that. I loved seeing it though. I loved seeing Professor Hulk.
Yeah,
And the only problem I had, I can understand not getting like to see how it happened, to see that, because that would be really cool, and it could still be cool. They could
yeah,
still show it in She-Hulk. I think they might, but
potentially, but we got to make room for Tatiana Maslany, who is a
yeah,
powerhouse.
yeah, and apparently like, everybody
Mhm.
that's been working on it has said how great she is. So I'm real excited about that one.
My God, she carried Orphan Black
Yeah,
like
yeah.
all by her. I mean, the other cast was great too, but like she was just
No, she was
God.
stunning, really
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
And but where was I going? Oh, and I didn't like the fact that he didn't really do anything at the end. He didn't fight at all, and he's still the Hulk. He's smart,
yeah,
but he's still
yeah,
the Hulk. He can still smash stuff.
yeah,
So like that was my problem with that. Bat Thor I did not like at first. I really, like, first viewing, I didn't care for it at all. I was like, that's stupid. But
yeah,
as the more I watched it, I'm like, all right, I get it. He failed. Half the universe died, and he got depressed. And when you get depressed, you
yeah.
know, sometimes you go down a fat road.
I mean,
You know,
I wouldn't say I suffer from depression, but when I left the army, I gained 50 pounds. Like, I mean, like, and I didn't fail to save half the universe. Like, I'm not carrying anywhere near that kind of burden. I just,
yeah,
like, left my adventuring days behind me and, ballooned.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I'm a little more. I still don't like. I gotta say, I still don't like it, but I have more respect for the decision
hmm
than I did when I first saw the movie. But what I really didn't like, though, and still don't like, because it feels to me like the writers just wanted it to go this way, is I didn't like Thor handing the crown over to Valkyrie,
hmm
largely because I'm like, Valkyrie's great, but do we have any real reason to believe she'd be a better king? I mean, maybe like off screen she's been more responsible than Thor, so sure. But like, it
yeah.
just
It's
feels
another
like,
thing they didn't show on screen. Like they
yeah,
didn't
which
show, because they
there's
didn't show
only,
what happened in the 5 years with the Asgardians landing on Earth
yeah,
and whatever. And yeah,
and I get that you can only show so much, but like, I just like, I don't, one, like, I don't know that there's any reason for us to think Valkyrie should be king. Two, like, as a matter of personal philosophy, I'm like, I'm not denying that understanding oneself and introspection aren't valuable. They are. But you're the goddamn crown prince of Asgard. Do your duty. Like, I don't give a damn what you're like. I don't care, like, on a
yeah,
certain level, what you feel you want to do. Like, you have this responsibility. Welcome to being royalty. Like, yeah, I don't like that. Like, and it's partially a personality thing. So
yeah. I can
so
see it.
while
I mean, you gotta. He when he was the king, he fucked up royally.
that's true. That's
Half
true.
his people died then and there. And even if it's not his fault, it's Thanos' fault. He's gonna be responsible for half the universe dying before
You're
it
not
came back.
wrong. You're not
So like
wrong.
I can't see him being like, you know what? No, I'm not good at this. Maybe she led the people to Earth. She's taken care of them for 5 years. She's the one they look up to right now.
Yeah,
And maybe we'll
I
see
get
more of
it.
that in the movie too, because we saw her looking bored in a political meeting. It looked like,
Yeah.
you
And I
know,
get that. Like, there's a good argument. That's a good argument, Sam. I confess you've got a really good point there, but it just feels like, I don't know, it still feels like he's being irresponsible to me. Like I feel like the writers are trying to frame it as like, no, he needs to go on this journey of self-discovery. When in reality, to me, it feels like he's still just fiddle fucking around with his emotions rather
I
than
mean,
doing what he's supposed to do. Like,
it's also the idea of monarchy versus democracy.
yeah,
Is like he's the only one left. His
yeah.
whole family's gone. Everybody who was around him is gone. I don't know where Sif is, but she wasn't royalty. But it's like, what,
She's busy kicking
gives it
Loki
up.
in the nuts for eternity.
There you go. He gives it up. He gives it up for to democracy, to the person that actually leads. So I have no problem with that, and I don't see him coming back to Asgard and being like, I'm the ruler now. I just see him riding off into the sunset.
I guess. I'm open. Like this does not. To be clear, this is not poisoning me for the movie. Like
Mhm.
I still anticipate that I hope to enjoy the movie a lot because obviously Ragnarok was such a surprise delight. You know,
Loved it.
like
Loved what
you know,
TT did.
yeah, he's such a good movie. So
Yeah,
funny,
yeah,
and heartfelt where it needed to be. You
yeah.
know,
And it
so
had
yeah,
Hulk. And it had Hulk. I like that. Hulk's one of my favorites. So,
yeah,
and he wasn't the professor yet. He was just talking more, which
yeah,
I really dug. I could have done more with that too. I would have liked to see more of him too.
yeah. All the gags with Hulk worked super well, and
Yeah,
Banner
yeah,
both. They
yeah,
all work. All the humor worked super well with both of them.
yeah.
You know, the Thor Hulk relationship was really fantastic. I really enjoyed that. Um, I just, yeah, no, I don't know. Like I'm, you know, Thor Ragnarok was so good.
Mhm.
I'm anticipating this being good. I did not read the Jason Aaron, Jane Foster as Thor run, so I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I will say I will confess skepticism for Natalie Portman as Thor.
Mhm.
Um, they could win me over. I think it's possible, but like I'm going into this with okay, guys, you're swinging for the fences. Let's see it happen.
I,
Let's see
I
the
I'm
magic, Marvel.
The comics were good. The comics were good, and the comics that led up to that were what part of this is based on too. Gore the God Butcher,
Yeah.
and they didn't show him. It's Christian Bale,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of online opinions about how he looks because in the comic book he looks very alien. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a nose. It's like kind of like Voldemorty.
Mhm.
And in this, like they've shown like the action figures and like the promotional art, and he just looks like pale Christian Bale with some markings on his face. So they haven't shown him in that, and I'm okay with that because I want to see more. But also tying it all back around, my brother had like an interesting theory, which was what if they haven't like this was before they showed the trailer. Like, what if they just haven't shown the trailer because the end credit scene of Moon Knight is going to be Gore just killing all of the Egyptian gods,
Oh.
and then just going into that will be our first like look at Gore because that's what he does. He's the God Butcher. He kills
Yeah.
gods because they failed him.
Yeah, I don't think Russell Crowe is long for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, no, not at all. But it'll be
Oh,
fun to watch. It'll
yeah,
be fun to
yeah,
watch.
no,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. No, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll get Hercules in Love
I
and
think
Thunder?
so. I think if not then at another point.
Yeah.
There's that people are really good at like noticing like just like picking apart trailers. There's like a scene where like if you look at the framing of it, it's Thor and it's Korg and
Yeah, and
there's nobody here.
there's
But the
this
framing
negative
of it,
face.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it's like it's what they did with like Spider-Man and
with
like
Lizard getting
Toby.
punched.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So like people are like, somebody's there. So it could
yeah.
be Hercules. It could be Beta Ray Bill. It could be something. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly is in that spot.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like because there have been so many comparatively, there have been so many flubs lately. I'm like, oh man, don't don't mess up a don't mess up an actual primetime movie, guys. You
Yeah.
know, like it's one thing if Eternals is controversial or a Disney Plus series falls flat. Like you knocked it out of the park with Ragnarok. You got to keep up that energy.
Yeah.
Um, I'm looking forward to more Star Lord and more
Yeah.
Guardians, like
Yeah.
more
That's
Asgardians of
always
the Galaxy.
that's always fun.
Yeah.
And we got multiverse.
You cut out a little there, Sam. You got
Yeah.
multiverse. What?
No, multiverse of madness. We got right before that. So I'm hoping for
Yeah.
two good summer movies.
Yeah, we'll definitely come on to talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That looks amazing. Like
Yeah.
I have almost no trepidation looking at that one. I'm just excited for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just happy I haven't seen more than I've seen.
Yeah.
You know? They
Yeah.
haven't blown their load on the trailers, which they almost felt like they did with Patrick Stewart's voice, but
Yeah.
thankfully they didn't go further than that. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what else is there.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like maybe even that was a little much because
Oh, it
it would have
was.
been
Got me excited, but it was a bit much.
yeah, it was like maybe don't guys.
Yeah.
Like maybe just do it. Like I mean
Yeah.
like back in like phase 3, 2, we had talked about we weren't the only ones by any means, but I remember you and I had talked about how awesome would it be if the introduction of the X-Men was just the Wolverine attacking Hulk
Yeah.
out of nowhere. Like no warning, no promotional, no anything. Hugh Jackman attacks Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in the next Hulk if there was a Hulk movie coming
Yeah.
up. and that was the Hulk movie, and it was like, oh my god, like like
That'd be
how
awesome.
amazing would that be?
Yeah.
But I don't think we're gonna get that, since we know we're getting X-Men in the multiverse.
Yeah.
What I hope though is like we're just kind of at this point. This is kind of like a free ranging MCU discussion at this point, guys. Episode 3 was good. Episode 4 sucked. That's the review of Moon Knight so far. We hope they turn it around in 5 and 6, but frankly, I'm kind of skeptical. Sam,
it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle. You got you're batting 50-50 with me. You only got 2 left.
5 is good and 6 sucks, that amounts to a series that's maybe at the bottom of the pecking order.
Yeah, I never would have expected that, but yeah.
Yeah, because like at least for all that I've given Falcon and Winter Soldier some crap, at least it elicited some emotions from me.
Yeah.
Even if it was frustration and anger.
It's still caring.
Yeah, but as I was saying, like I interrupted myself to say Spider-Man No Way Home was brilliant.
Yep.
But in a way it felt like a closing off of the Spider-Man storyline so that they could do their own thing for a while, which I do support. I'm like, yeah, no, give us some Spider-Man stories that are just him doing Spider-Man stuff and you don't see any of the Avengers. Good. But I'm afraid they might use the multiverse to be like, oh yeah, the X-Men are a thing, but they don't affect anything that's going on.
No, I don't want Avengers. That. I don't want that. I don't know. I could, if they hired me, I could come up with a really good, probably, better than, well, we just didn't want to get involved. I could come up with like a story myself, but I want the MCU to have their own X-Men. Yeah. The only thing I dislike really about No Way Home is it kind of, and maybe not, but it kind of like shut the door on like, his own Green Goblin, his own Doc Ock, you know? I don't want the only Green Goblin to be in the Sonyverse. I want Tom Holland to have his own characters, and it can still happen. Yeah. But when he's like, I looked and there's no Oscorp, there's no this. I'm like, that's a missed opportunity. Why are you doing that?
Yeah. And furthermore, the minute a Norman Osborn pops up in his life, he's going to be like, yeah. Are you experimenting with anything?
No, I'm watching you, motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, what's your name? Oh, I'm Otto Octavius.
Which could be an interesting thing too,
They could play that
like,
very
and
well.
if he's not like a bad guy at first, but Peter's like, "Fuck you, asshole." Yeah. He's like, "What? I'm just trying to help." Fuck you. Just like brings him into being a villain.
Yeah. Well, Ned Leeds promised he won't become a supervillain, so
But then he forgot about it all. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a good point. Like, No Way Home was really good, but you're right that seeing the MCU iterations on Doc Ock and Green Goblin, and even the lesser ones like Lizard and Electro and Sandman would have been good too. But I don't know. Like, I do look forward to Spider-Man without Stark Tech backing him up.
Yeah, that's cool. And the costume looked great. The basic costume.
Very classic.
Look great. I have no problem with that. I'm excited for whatever they do. I hope I'm sure he'll come back. It's like one of the biggest movies of all time.
Yeah.
But I just don't want the Fox X-Men cannot be the X-Men for the MCU. They weren't that good. They were good for their time. They're not good for this time.
Well, I think it's like if you go through the movies, so X-Men 1 was good for its time. Like, understandably, some of it doesn't age well. At the time,
it was like one of the best comic book movies.
Yeah. Oh my God, I was so excited. Yeah. Like, I was so excited. Yeah. And they made so many smart decisions. Even the theme has like similarities to the 90s X-Men animated theme that has been stuck in our heads since we were 12.
X-Men 2.
X-Men 1 and 2 were both good.
Yeah.
3 was kind of terrible.
Yeah. X-Men Origins Wolverine.
X-Men Origins Wolverine was kind of terrible.
The Wolverine was okay.
It was in the middle.
It was okay.
It was meh.
Yeah. And then the new class, First Class.
First Class I liked a lot.
Good. A lot of missed opportunities with that too for me.
There were missed opportunities, but I still liked Magneto Nazi Hunter is one of my favorite things in the world.
Amazing. So much is good. So much could have been fixed in that movie if you actually just used the First Class. If you just said, fuck it, we're starting over. This is Cyclops and Jean Grey and Beast and Angel and Iceman. If you want to throw in Storm so you can have some diversity and so you can have another woman, that's fine.
if you want to make Iceman black, I don't give a shit.
I
Go
don't
ahead and
care.
do
I
it.
don't care what they. As long as Jean
Yeah.
Grey is a ginger. If Jean Grey is not a ginger, fuck everything.
Yeah.
They take
Yeah.
away all the ginger parts.
Well, and that's why,
You
like,
know?
I like Zendaya and I like MJ, but I
She's great.
don't really consider her Mary Jane.
Mm.
Like, I consider her own character that I
Michelle
like.
Jones.
Yeah, she's Michelle Jones, not Mary Jane Watson
Yeah.
or Mary Jane Parker. She's just her own thing. Cool character, like her.
Yeah.
She's funny,
Yeah.
you know, like, and heartfelt and sweet. But she's not MJ. She's not
Yeah.
Prime Universe Spider-Man MJ.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, no, I agree with you. Jean Grey has to have the fiery red hair and be a better actress than either one who portrayed her.
Yeah. When I say they take the ginger parts, I don't mean black people take the ginger parts. Let me make that clear. I mean
you people.
I mean Hollywood takes away the ginger parts and they give them to people who aren't ginger. So like even Charlie Cox, who was great as Daredevil, he's not a ginger. What are you doing? You know.
Nice.
Just want to be clear.
Good. Way to like step on the landmine, but then backpedal as it detonates.
Yes. Always.
Yeah. So anyway, I think they're about 500 because you had like the heights like Logan, or I think Days of Future Past was pretty great.
Days of Future Past was one of the best. Apocalypse sucked. Dark Phoenix sucked.
And you had that like one right after the other, right? So you have
Yeah.
like Days of Future Past, and you're like, oh man, they're back on track. Awesome.
Yeah. And
then
they were like, oh, they can correct whatever mistakes they didn't like in the other movies. Yeah. No, they just go right into whatever crap they did.
They're going into Apocalypse, and we're kids of the 90s. We love Apocalypse.
One of my favorites.
He shaped comics for a generation.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I
they just
love Cable and the
fucked it up
Ascani
so much.
and
Yeah.
the Legacy Virus and Strife and all that 90s crap. I love it.
Yeah.
They just, God,
Real bad.
you know, like
Real
it
bad.
was so terrible. But then after they royally butt fuck it with Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, well, actually Dark Phoenix was last, but after they screw it up with Apocalypse, and I'm like, I'm done with them. Then they release Logan.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, would you please decide what you're gonna do?
And they don't know. That's why it's good that it's out of Fox's hands.
Yeah. So I agree with you. They need to go. I think they need to nut up and have the original team. And they need to have 3 or 4 X-Men movies with no Wolverine. I love Wolverine. Wolverine is maybe still my favorite comic book character. I'm a big Wolverine fan. I'm a short, hairy, angry man. Wolverine's my spirit animal. But like, I'm not Canadian. But otherwise, I do have a partially metal
Not a
skeleton
fucking
thanks
Canadian.
to Iraq.
There you go.
But love Wolverine. But I'm like, there are other X-Men with really cool stories. Don't always make it about Wolverine.
Yeah, that was the primary mistake that they did with the Fox movie, because Wolverine's popular, rightfully so. But even if he's popular, you don't have to show him in every fucking movie. You don't have to make him the lead character.
Yeah, it's like people were complaining that Avengers isn't Avengers just Iron Man 3, and it's like no, it wasn't. And oh, by the way, like while Tony Stark is like was the cornerstone of the MCU, there are plenty of great Marvel movies that Iron Man has no part in.
Yeah.
You know, and let that be a lesson to you. They didn't just lean on, oh, this character works. Let's just put everything on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
none of that.
So yeah, I agree with you. I'm excited for the Fantastic Four. To finally get a good one, hopefully.
I hope so too.
And to see the MCU take on the X-Men and to have it integrated, like, because I want X-Men centric stories, but I do eventually want like Inferno or Age of Apocalypse, an actual Age of Apocalypse, not Inconvenience of Apocalypse. You know, because that was the thing. Age of Ultron was like, it was more like the minor inconvenience of Ultron. As much as I love that movie a lot more now than I did when it first came out.
And I agree. I want it, and I want to see it all. I got hope.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, slow down. Don't make so much. You know, like, go ahead and slow down and take your time on each product. We'll still love you. You know, like, you don't need 3 movies and 2 series every year. You know, if you can't create 3 good ones every year, make 2. You know, it's fine. Or 1. Yeah. It's fine.
Make good choices.
Yeah. Like, there's so much material. Take your time with it. You're not going to run out. You know, like, and we'll keep paying you our ludicrous sums of cash. as long as you don't fuck it up too bad. But yeah, no, I hope they can get back on track.
I think so.
I mean, not that they're fully off track, but
Yeah,
like,
no.
like comparatively
Yeah.
to like, you remember like when the worst Marvel thing was Thor the Dark World, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Now it's like, there's some contenders for that spot now.
I still keep it at the bottom.
But there are contenders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they didn't. I mean, I actually like Dark World maybe a little bit better than the Incredible Hulk. I know, blasphemy to you.
Yeah, no, not me. I like the Incredible Hulk.
I just like Mark Ruffalo's Hulk a lot better than Edward Norton's.
It's fair. I mean, I've grown to like it. I've seen it more. We only had the one off with Ed Norton, and Ed Norton's his own thing. He wasn't cut out for the Disney Marvel, way of doing things.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Not everybody can be.
That's true. I mean, like there are a lot of talented people who didn't quite make it. Like, who was it? Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright was doing Ant-Man.
Yeah, Edgar Wright was going to do Ant-Man, but they were like, nope, you got to fit it in with our vision, and if you can't, which, I mean, if you're going to do an integrated cinematic universe, that's one thing you kind of have to stick to your guns on.
It's their toys. You're playing in their toy box.
Yep, it's true.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we should wrap it up. But I feel like everything we've gotten recently has been, Endgame aftermath stuff, introducing new characters, trying to like widen the world a little bit more. And it was before they had the Fox, characters, so they couldn't really get into X-Men yet. And because it takes years to develop it, but now we're getting back into Doctor Strange, and we're getting back into like the real flow of like what the MCU is, the overall storyline.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably just a little gun shy from having seen Star Wars get so thoroughly ruined. But like watching Lucasfilm just make terrible decision after terrible decision, while everyone, a billion fans cried out in anguish and were suddenly silenced. So and because it's like, I know Lucasfilm and Marvel are two separate studios under Disney, and what one does doesn't necessarily affect what the other does all that much.
Yeah.
I'm just like, don't you do it.
You do it.
Yeah, like I was really enjoying this property. Like, don't you fuck it up. Anyway, no, but I hope Moon Knight pulls off a really amazing hat trick and comes back roaring with season 5 and 6 and makes me eat my words about season 2.
I hope so too.
Sorry, episode 5 and 6. I'm tired. And makes me eat my words about the even numbered episodes. But so far,
Yeah, no, I hope so too. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see next week.
Yeah, indeed. And high hopes for Thor Love and Thunder, and we'll definitely come back to talk about that. Gosh, we are closing in on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We'll definitely have to get together to talk about that.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks from tonight.
All right, cool. Well, Sam, I know it's a little later on the East Coast, so I'll let you get off to Dreamland. Again, links to Sam's work in the description below. So go ahead and check out his stuff. Narrow Bridge Films has a lot of great offerings, so you'll find a lot of entertainment down there. Sam, thanks for joining me, bud.
Thank you, Justin.
All right, and that's all I have for tonight. See you next time, and until then, keep up the fire.